first step, as always, put it in standard form. So standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So this one equals negative 8x. So that does not equal 0, so I need to get this one equal to 0. So I'm going to move this negative 8x. In order to move it, I need to add it. And when I look at the other side, I'm looking for a like term. So this one has an x squared. This has an x, so there's all like terms. And then this one is a constant, meaning it doesn't have an x. So that is not a like term either. So I know I'm just going to put it next to all of them. I can't combine it. Now when I'm looking at my standard form, I see that x squared goes first, x next, and then the constant with no x. So when I'm writing this, I want to make sure I do that. So I've got to just add 8x somewhere over here, okay, because they're not going to combine. My x squared term has to go first, so that's 4x squared. Next has to be my x, so that's 8x. And then finally my constant, which is minus 1. And now that equals 0. So we've got standard form. When looking at this, I do have a b, which is 8x. So I know I have to do the quadratic formula for this. So I need to name a, b, and c. So a is 4, b is 8, and c is negative 1. So go ahead and pause your video and write down the quadratic formula. So for the quadratic formula, I got x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Hopefully you guys got the same thing. Now we are going to sub in a, b, and c. So a goes here and here, b goes here and here, and finally c goes just here. Okay, so pause your video and sub them in. So I got x equals the opposite of 8 plus or minus the square root of 8 squared minus 4 times negative 1 all over 2 times 4. So I'm going to simplify this in 3 places like always. I have to do the front, I have to do under the square root, and I've got to do the bottom. So when I'm writing this, I know I'm going to get a number up front, a plus or minus, a square root, and a number on bottom. Okay? So opposite of 8 is the first thing I've got. Opposite of 8 is negative 8. So I've got negative 8 here. Next thing I need to do is I need to simplify all this in my calculator. So go ahead and get your calculators out, pause the video, and simplify that. I got 80. Hopefully you guys got the same thing. Right, and then I've got 2 times 4, which is 8. Lots of 8s in this problem. Okay, next up, I've got to simplify the square root. So the square root of 80 is what I'm looking at. So I need to see on my list of perfect squares, where does the square root of 80 fall? So square root of 80 is between the square root of 81, which is plus or minus 9, and the square root of 64, which is plus or minus 8. Okay, so the very first thing, so we said square root of 80 is here. So first thing I'm going to check is, does 80 divided by 64 give me a whole number or a decimal? This, when I typed it in, it gave me a decimal. So I know it doesn't go in evenly, so I'm ready to try the next number. So the next smallest number is the square root of 49, which is equal to plus or minus 7. So now I'm going to just do that division again. So 80 divided by 49. When you type that in your calculator, you should get a decimal again. So again, we could cross this out because it does not go in evenly. Next smallest number is the square root of 36, which is equal to plus or minus 6. So I'm going to divide again. So I've got 80 divided by 36, which again gives me a decimal. That one's out. Next smallest number is the square root of 25. So square root of 25 is plus or minus 5. Okay, so again, I got to divide. So I've got 80 divided by 25. And when I divide that, I still get a decimal. So I got to keep going. I got to keep going until I get a whole number or I get to the bottom. So next one is square root of 16. Okay, which equals plus or minus 4. So I'm going to do the same thing I've been doing. I'm going to do 80 divided by 16. So 80 divided by 16. And hey, I got a whole number this time, it's 5. So this is my one I'm going to keep. And off to the side, I'm just going to simplify my square root of 80. So square root of 80. When I did it, square root of 16 fit in evenly, and I got 5. So I got square root of 16 times square root of 5. I know square root of 16 is plus or minus 4.
Really?
So I got plus or minus 4, and I've still got my square root of 5. And I'm ready to sub that in for the square root of 80. So now I'm ready to replace this. So I've got x equals, I still got my negative 8, and I still my plus or minus, but instead of the square root of 80, I'm going to put in my plus or minus 4 square root of 5. Notice I didn't have to write the square root again, notice I didn't have to write the plus or minus again, because the plus or minus was already there. So I did not have to write it twice. And it is still divided by 8. So when I'm looking at this, I've got square root of 5 here, and then there's no square root of 5 here. So these aren't like terms, so I can't combine them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I could take a whole number out of all, I'm going to see if I could evenly divide each of these numbers by a whole number. So I'm going to look at negative 8, 4, and 8. And see if a number goes into all of them. So negative 8, 4, and 8. Hey, I can take a 4 out of all those. So I'm going to divide them each by 4. So I'm dividing them all by 4. So when I divide by 4, I get negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. I get 4 divided by 4 divided by 4, which is 1. I still have the square root of 5, I can't change that. And that's over 8 divided by 4, which is 2. So that is my final answer. And remember, that means 2 answers. That means negative 2 plus 1 square root of 5 over 2. So that's one of my answers. And my other answer is the same thing with a minus. So it is negative 2 minus 1 square root of 5 over 2.